She was Britain's longest reigning monarch, the one constant in a country that changed so much over so many decades. From the post-war era of food rations to the digital age, the Queen moved with the times, and the people moved with her. As popular in the 50s as she was well over 50 years later. Through crises inside and outside her family, public support and affection towards her rarely, if ever, wavered. A monarch admired for her longevity and sense of duty, with her beloved husband by her side, and as a widow queen.
When she became queen, Truman was president, Churchill prime minister. She would meet 13 of the last 14 presidents, appoint 15 prime ministers. She celebrated the good times, her jubilees, royal weddings and births. She watched proudly over the next generation.
She's a remarkably energetic and dedicated guiding force for her family. And I'm so glad that my children are having the chance to get to know the Queen.
And a source of comfort in times of trouble, steadying the nation when the pandemic hit. In 2021, another goodbye, this one final. Queen Elizabeth lost her closest confidant and advisor, the man who made her laugh, her husband of 73 years, Prince Philip. Their marriage an extraordinary partnership, as she noted on their 50th wedding anniversary.
He has quite simply been my strength and stay all these years, and I and his whole family, and this and many other countries, owe him a debt greater than he would ever claim, or we shall ever know.
The world grieved with her and for her as they watched the socially distanced funeral. The Queen, for the first time, all alone. A year later, Queen Elizabeth marked 70 years on the throne with a look to the future, shoring up the monarchy, requesting that her daughter-in-law Camilla be known as Queen Consort, using her Platinum Jubilee message to renew her pledge from 1947, that her life will always be devoted to serving her people. And she will be remembered for doing just that, unwavering in her duty to her country and Commonwealth, persevering to her last days. Prince Charles put it best on the night of his mother's Platinum Jubilee.
We think of all you have done to make the Commonwealth such an important force for good. So, Your Majesty, that is why we all say thank you.
Queen Elizabeth has died at the age of 96. Buckingham Palace announced her death after 70 years on the throne. She died just a year after her husband, Prince Philip. For the past few months, she had been suffering from mobility issues. Her son Charles, the Prince of Wales, will succeed her. People around the world are mourning her loss.
Today, the crown passes, as it has done for more than 1,000 years, to our new monarch, our new head of state, His Majesty, King Charles III. We usher in a new era by saying the words, "God save the King."
We took a look at her legacy as the longest reigning monarch in British history. Young Elizabeth was never supposed to become queen, but when her uncle King Edward VIII abdicated the throne, her father took over. After his unexpected death in 1952, Elizabeth became queen at just 25 years old. At her side was her husband, Prince Philip. They met when Elizabeth was just 8 years old. Philip was a distant cousin of the royal family and belonged to Greek and Danish royalty. They got engaged shortly after Elizabeth's 21st birthday, and the princess caused a stir by saying yes without asking her parents for permission. Their lavish wedding brought thousands of people to Westminster Abbey to celebrate. The couple went on to have 4 children. Queen Elizabeth was known for her ability to persevere under pressure.
A long life can pass by many milestones. My own is no exception.
It has always been easy to hate and destroy. To build and to cherish is much more difficult.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
It's understandable that we sometimes think the world's problems are so big that we can do little to help. On our own, we cannot end wars or wipe out injustice, But the cumulative impact of thousands of small acts of goodness can be bigger than we imagine. It's worth remembering that it is often the small steps, not the giant leaps, that bring about the most lasting change.
When people in 53 years from now look back on us, they will doubtless view many of our practices as old-fashioned. But it is my hope that when judged by future generations, our sincerity, our willingness to take a lead, and our determination to do the right thing will stand the test of time.
We will succeed, and that success will belong to every one of us. We should take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again. United Kingdom, countless examples of resilience and goodwill. It is a source of great pride to me that the leading role my husband played in encouraging people to protect our fragile planet lives on through the work of our eldest son, Charles, and his eldest son, William. I could not be more proud of them. Indeed, I have drawn great comfort and inspiration from the relentless enthusiasm of people of all ages, especially the young, in calling for everyone to play their part. Of course, the benefits of such actions will not be there to enjoy for all of us here today. None of us will live forever. But we are doing this not for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children, and those who will follow in their footsteps.
She was a woman in a man's world.
All await the Queen's arrival.
Stepping into what everyone thought was only a man could do, I think she really carved her own way in that sense and produced an incredible amount of courage to do the job and to step up to the plate, and she's not let herself or anyone down in the process.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister of Canada, for making me feel so old.
Alexander Mary.
Take thee, Philip.
Take thee, Philip.
He has quite simply been my strength and stay all these years, and I and his whole family, and this and many other countries, owe him a debt greater than he would ever claim. Visits by American presidents have been memorable landmarks in my reign. Unlike in the United States, the British head of state is not limited to 2 terms of 4 years. The United States remains our most important ally, and our 2 nations contribute to the security and prosperity of our peoples and of the world through shared national interests. I think of no better place in which to celebrate my silver jubilee, both as Queen and head of the Commonwealth. It has touched me deeply to see so many thousands of families, neighbours and friends celebrating together in such a happy atmosphere.
The Queen went off to look at the horses. Her interest in bloodstock needs no underlining here, and the Derby gives her a chance to inspect some of the finest. It's my foot you're standing on.
So in the military, she means a lot more to you than just a grandmother. She is the Queen, and then you sort of start realising, you know, wow, this is quite a big deal, and then you get goosebumps, and then the rest of it, and then so on and so on.
During these years as your Queen, the support of my family has, across the generations, been beyond measure.
For over 70 years, she devoted her life to her country, steadfast through triumph and tragedy. Queen Elizabeth II died peacefully at her Scottish castle, Balmoral. She was 96 years old. She leaves behind her family, a nation, and much of the world in mourning.
Shocked. I can't believe it. I'm gutted. Absolutely gutted.
It shocks me. It just made me, I felt a shiver go down my spine.
The notice of her death posted on the gates of Buckingham Palace. It was a day the country has long dreaded.
You kind of always knew it was coming, but when it happens, it's just sad.
Somber crowds gathering outside Buckingham Palace in the rain, leaving flowers at the gates.
I was just compelled to come here. She just means so much to this country.
The flag lowered to half-staff, and as Britain paused, rainbows stretched across the sky. The monarch has been a constant presence in the lives of millions and was a living part of history. Her face on money in Great Britain, across the Commonwealth.
Same shock and sense of disbelief that was here today will still be here for some time. Even people who didn't know the Queen, I think many people felt they had a personal connection with her.
She was one of my favorite people in the world, and I will miss her so.
Tonight, tributes to the Queen pouring in from world leaders, the Pope, and all the living former presidents she met with, including Donald Trump, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton. And President Biden signing the condolence book at the British Embassy in Washington. At 73, Her Majesty's eldest son, now King Charles III, released this statement saying, "The death of my beloved mother, Her Majesty the Queen, is a moment of the greatest sadness for me and all members of my family. We mourn profoundly the passing of a cherished sovereign and a much-loved mother."
But I think it's that sense of duty of being a public servant for all of that time, to put herself second and to put the people and her family and her country first.
The announcement of the Queen's death came just hours after the palace released a rare statement saying doctors were, quote, concerned for Her Majesty's health. Her family racing to the matriarch's side, Charles arriving first by helicopter. Other members of the royal family flying into a foggy Aberdeen airport in Scotland. Prince William spotted driving his uncles Andrew and Edward and Prince Edward's wife Sophie to the castle. After the official announcement had been made, Prince Harry arrived alone.
This is a moment of personal grief as a family. This is their mother, their grandmother, their great-grandmother, but also they are very aware of their public positions at a time like this and the roles that they will play in this plan that is going to be executed, and they all have their part to play in that as well.
Even to the end, the Queen was committed to performing her duties. Just 2 days ago, in the Queen's last official photos, inviting Great Britain's new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, to form a government, her 15th time bestowing such an honor.
It's particularly poignant that she was able to do what she wanted, which was to fulfill her duties right up until the end. That is exactly how she wanted it to be.
The death of Her Majesty the Queen is a huge shock to the nation and to the world. Queen Elizabeth II was the rock on which modern Britain was built.
The Queen celebrating 70 years on the throne this past summer at the Platinum Jubilee. Charles expressing gratitude on behalf of the Britons and tweeting, "Thank you, ma'am, for everything."
She was simply, to millions around the world, the Queen. The most famous woman of her time. So much history, so many indelible moments. Decade after decade, from the Cold War to the computer age, what an extraordinary reign. And for all those years, through all that history, duty is what defined this remarkable woman. She will be remembered for a lifetime of unwavering service to her country. Perhaps Prince Charles put it best on the night of his mother's Diamond Jubilee.
As a nation, this is our opportunity to thank you and my father for always being there for us, for inspiring us with your selfless duty and service, and for making us proud to be British.
The Queen is dead. Long live the King.